art anyway is subversive. I wrote an article called "The Disappearance of Public Space on the Net" a few months back, and basically what that is, and that's online on the Next 5 Minutes website in the text section. And essentially it was a response to the so-called privatization of the NSF-net, the National Science Foundation backbone of the internet, which was one of the original parts that was maintained, you know, under the DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. And what happened was, you know, the large corporations, Time Warner and MCI and Disney and all these guys, bought up the NSF-net. When the networks become privately owned, then it's no longer any place for public discourse to take place. This is a real problem, and it is happening at an alarming pace. And in fact, these types of censorship issues are growing every day, and it's about control of information. And I think that the essential thing for artists, independent network people, is to support each other, to support the independent networks, to support, get off the commercial internet providers. Everybody just dump them tomorrow, you know? Cancel CompuServe, cancel America Online, cancel all the commercial services, and join your local internet provider. In the 80s, the euphoria was the camcorder revolution, you know?
Recording the chaos on his home video camera when police came after him.
In New York City's Tompkins Square Park in 1988, Paul Garrin's video camera was with the beaten.
I was taping the police beating one guy or pushing him with his stick, and they apparently noticed me on top of the van with the camera, and then came after me and began to assault me.
All right, I'm getting down, I'm getting down!
As in the beating of Rodney King, the power of Paul Garrin's video evidence was limited in court.
And put the means of production in our hands. You know, we could own our means of production. But what it didn't give us was a means of distribution. Yeah? Somebody else decides that this is to be seen or not. With the emergence of the network culture in popular society, outside the scientific and military community and academic community, it changed this, because suddenly now it became possible to become a distributor with the same means of production. So the computer became also a means of production. It also became means of distribution. So any point on the network can receive and transmit equally. So this is the new phase of revolution. It's another way of becoming producer and a distributor of information. When CNN broadcast something about Bosnia, they put many obscure references which people don't understand. You know, they bill this war as a civil war, for example. They create a very high level of noise, so people are somehow aware of Bosnia or another conflict, or Rwanda or something like this. But they don't really understand it. You know, the spin factor is put on, the uncertainty factor, and that is played upon. That becomes the noise level in the media. This is what media filter is. Media filter is filtering out the noise. So taking it away and focusing on the essential content. And one of the most important aspects of what I've been collaborating with other network people over the last year is the Zamir net and the Sarajevo pipeline, which essentially broke through the boundaries set up by war, both the physical boundaries and the communication boundaries, which were put up, you know, at the beginning of the war, where the communication was cut off. So to bypass those new boundaries imposed by the fascist regimes, and to go around that. So to create this network of communication that went in defiance of this war, which was everything against what it was all about. The Zamir net really, these people who created this are the ones who really deserve all of the recognition. And simply by connecting to them through the web and making an interface which made their network public in the West, This was one first step, and then of course then that takes on its own character. You know, it's as automated as I could make it right now, and it generates its own content. It brings the network out of the realm of the virtual into the realm of the actual. And it shows that it's not only just another medium of consumption, but a medium of distribution and communication. And any point on that network can be just as powerful as CNN or Time Warner or Disney. Trying to raise that awareness in the public, I think, is main goal. And how to use the network for something else except home shopping and movies on demand. So this idea of the network being a kind of self-evolving, self-creating thing in terms of the creativity of human beings, you know, to have the whole database of human knowledge online. You know, everybody has access to this kind of education or communication and not have the censored version of it. The internet was originally a military application, you know. Most technology that we use is developed to advance the war machine, to make more advanced military capabilities, yeah? Not to make nicer pictures or cooler things like this, but really basic foundation is how to create war. And the economy is built around that too. So I developed a system with David Rokeby, which is evolving towards Department of Defense specifications, you know? But at the same time, we're showing we could make object of war, but we're making object of art. Permanent Autonomous Network, PANET. That's the next phase of development, to create a permanent autonomous network. One which exists within the switching capacity of the internet, but yet is an alliance of independent nets that refer to each other and support each other. Either just informationally, technically, sharing resources, whatever, but basically to create a kind of an alliance where we can also generate an economy of scale, because being an international, you know, quasi-global consortium, so this is not that difficult to do at this point. So this is a very important aspect in strategic development and survival of independent nets.
The project began in 1991 when I was in Paris for a year. That was the time of a quite a dramatic outbreak of xenophobia in France and also in Belgium. Le Pen effect or Le Pen result. I suddenly realized that I cannot continue the kind of projects that I was doing in New York, mostly working with the homeless, designing special instruments, networks and vehicles for the homeless. Because the problem became so serious that it needed response, of course, of many people, politicians, artists, cultural analysts or critics and activists, and mobilization of all kinds of psychological and cultural work. But my contribution, of course, could only be a proposal for an artifice, which would be at the same time a psychological healing device for the migrants, and somehow also a device that would help non-immigrants to bring themselves closer to the migrant experience.
Something is different. If I don't have trouble, I don't sleep. I sometimes wait better for sleep a lot. Sometimes I sleep morning. I was in one, I said one because I was very simple. I was living with 8 persons in one room. They are from many countries. One man was
the walking stick or the staff, the rod. But of course, this walking stick needed to become a container that could absorb the experience, which is a history of quite difficult moments of crossing boundaries and transformations, somehow recalling all of the experience of becoming, of transformation of identity of a stranger.
Hello,
can I ask a question? Can I ask you a question?
yeah. If
Do you
that was
interest in
divided
this?
in 4, then
Do you speak English?
I
You speak
can
English?
imagine that volume is
It's my interview
Yeah,
about my life.
your life.
Yeah, I'm immigrant.
You are in Netherlands?
Yeah, I'm living in Netherlands.
Yeah.
But I'm immigrant
Where are you from?
from Mongolia.
Mongolia.
another nice word.
Yeah, you take a diploma
If you
back. You're going back in Mongolia. Of now you're
No.
living here.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
can visit
It will
me
take some time.
Yeah.
very free.
You want a film ticket for me or for her?
No, it's not film.
No. What's that?
It's one project of American artist
Oh yeah.
Krzysztof. Yeah.
Krzysztof. Krzysztof Klan.
No,
No.
no. Krzysztof Wodiczko.
Wodiczko.
Because I don't
He's
do
one
many
man
things.
who made this stuff.
It will be in the future.
You can speak Netherlands,
Because I'm
Yeah, I
waiting
cannot.
for
but you live in here.
Yeah, I'm living here, and I like to contact with the people.
procedure.
Ah, with the people. You like it.
Heb ik contact hebben met mensen?
Ever seen one of these before? It's an alien walking stick.
An alien walking stick.
Yeah, every alien should have one.
So,
Nee.
and why do you have one then?
Nou, ik ben ook eigenlijk een alien. Of ja, ik ben geen Nederlander, maar ik zit hier nou. Ik hoor hier nu te zijn. Ik heb mijn papieren tenminste. En door middel van deze, dan kan je een verhaaltje kwijt. Om een beetje contact met de mensen te komen. Ja, heel veel mensen zitten hier. En die hebben nog steeds hun papieren niet van elkaar, maar die hebben enigszins problemen of dingen te vermelden. Dat ze zou graag aan de gewone mens willen melden in plaats van alleen maar in instanties.
Ah, it's very nice.
Like, for example,
For me, it's difficult
Is that difficult for you?
because I'm not Netherlands.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Me too, not Netherlands.
you're not Netherlands.
modern style of killing is different.
You know, but I live here. I have
I
Netherlands
feel
passport.
it
No,
every
have
time.
Netherlands passport. But
Yeah,
I'm not Netherlands.
but you,
Immigrants living
your
security.
life is going in Netherlands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it means you are Netherlands. Yes.
But I'm 3 years here. You know, I'm
Oh.
3 years here.
It's an alien walking stick.
So this container, I thought, should have two aspects, two forms. one physical container for precious relics that are witnesses, the specimens that correspond to the immigrant experience, different memorabilia, sacred objects that the immigrant usually hides or protects. Some of them from the previous station, previous country, and most of them that correspond to a migration process, the documents, correspondence with migration, correspondence with the family, photographs, or some symbolic objects. The head of this staff became a video monitor containing painfully or with great difficulties edited through video recording process and video editing process, constructed oral fragments of oral history accounts.
Sometimes you need an object like this in order to tell your story, and this is for people that are strangers or aliens.
I'm one of them too, so...
Yeah, you can tell your story and see if you can...
no story which would be understood here, so...
No?
That's why I'm an alien.
Are you still an alien?
If I wasn't an alien, people would understand this, see? So.
Are you still an alien? Don't have your papers?
Oh, you mean that kind of alien?
Yeah.
I thought you meant from another planet.
Oh, we're all aliens.
It is virtually impossible for a stranger to speak to non-strangers without this object. So the object becomes a necessary medium through which communication can take place.
What is this?
No, it's my interview. Interview? Yeah, to contact the people.
It's very horrible.
It's recorded by myself. Yeah.
After this life.
Yeah, I'm talking about refugees' life. Yes.
Want to help him.
This public space is democratic by the virtue of being delegitimized, being questioned for what it understands as public. So whoever doesn't have voice or whose voice is not heard must be able to speak and assert own rights to speak in that space and be heard and also be visible.
Looks good. What is it?
Yeah, looks very good. Fucking good, man. No.
Our project is DWTKS, or DWTKS, and that means Dialogue with the Knowbotic South. And it's a result of our thinking about what happens with our concept of nature.
Yeah, but we have to say that we don't construct a computer-aided nature. This is what we find. We are not artists that we create new things. Generally, maybe this is different to other artists. We don't invent it from our body. We find materials and we work with this, and it goes through different processes. And in this case, the computer-aided nature is attacked by the Knowbots. And then afterwards, there comes out a chimera of a nature. Yeah, we call it chimera, then computer-aided nature. And that means it's also a question: what is the ideal platform to act, or where we have to give up the desire that there is an identity. There's either no identity of ourselves in these media platforms, and there's also not an identity of a nature. And there's also a mistake what we see in several projects now in the internet, that many people have the desire to create an identity. But the computer-aided nature, we think, is the same effective as the materialistic nature, because the South Pole still exists and is still a very powerful biotope and environment which has a very big impact on our world climate, of course. But we think also this now emerging computer-aided nature in the networks, this info aesthetic environments which the scientific and cultural apparatus now constructs, is the same effective, and therefore we are very interested also to make visible the effects of this power play in the computer-aided nature, because we think the most dominant power plays are now happening in the computer-aided nature.
Mostly how the people use the technology is that they simulate maybe painting or video or film, and we think about audiovisual concept, how the computer can change our visualization or our perception, and at least our cognition.
I think it's more important now to offer generative questions than really to act functionally. Because if you and I think in these media systems you only have to be inside, and when you're inside, all what you do, all your actions will support these systems.
For us, it's very important that we change the observer to visitor. So you have the chance to go inside a system, and it's a totally different way to perceive what we offer than if you are in front of a picture.